Let's talk about categories and types of categories of A/B testing that we do. At the very first level and the easiest type of testing is what we call element level testing. So for example, if let's test a different headline, let's test a different button, let's test a different image. You're taking one element and you're testing it, and you have a hypothesis of why this element needs to change, and that's the reason I'm going to go ahead and test it. Element level testing requires the least amount of effort, and it's probably the easiest to implement and has the least impact on your bottom line most of the time. The next level of testing is page level testing. It's a lot harder. Now you're moving things around the page, you're introducing things to the page, you're removing things from the page. That can get a bit more complex. You want to spend 60-70% of your time in the page level testing. Third type, perhaps one of the harder ones, is what we call visitor flow testing. Now I'm going to change how visitors navigate. And this could be complex. Perfect example of this. I want to test a single step checkout versus a multi-step checkout. That's one A/B test, and that's not an easy A/B test. And that requires a lot of time, but if you have a winner there, that could be a significant improvement in conversion rates. Another example, let's say we have a product page, and when people click on the add to cart, I could effectively just show them a simple pop-up to tell them, hey, we've added an item to the cart. Some things that I would test, maybe after they click on the add to cart, I will show them a mini cart that pops up. That's what Shopify or many Shopify sites do. That's another alternative. Or maybe after they click on the add to cart, I take them to the cart page. Now I'm testing different alternatives, different visitor flow across the website. And you can have a good hypothesis of why you want to test those. That's a much easier test compared to a single step versus a multi-step checkout. Another category that you can test is what I call messaging. Now messaging is interesting because messaging could be across the website. It could span multiple elements. The hard work in testing messaging is not in the actual A/B test. Perhaps the actual A/B test is the easiest, but figuring out the messaging and making sure that it's consistent, that there's no disconnect between different pages, different elements, that you have a particular message and every element on the page speaks to that message. That's not easy to test. So there's a lot of thinking that needs to go into that. Last type of testing or category is what I call the element emphasis. How often do I want to emphasize a particular element on a page? Is it enough to show it once? Do I need to show it multiple times? When do I show this element? When do I remove this element? So there's also, again, some thinking that needs to go into this type of testing. Those are the general categories of A/B tests that we run on a website, regardless whether it's e-commerce or SaaS. The first test that we run on our website is element level testing, by the way. Usually, unless the team ignores me and then they decide to start testing the checkout, and then they're having nightmares about the checkout. Element level testing, because the very first test that you run on a site, the goal from it is just to make sure that your wiring, your plumbing is done correctly. I'm tracking that my scripts are installed correctly, revenue is getting tracked, there's no issues, conversion rate is showing correctly. But usually, after the very first test, a good number of your tests are page level testing and visitor flow testing, and every once in a while you throw an element level testing. You have to have the right mix of testing between very hard, those should be about 10%, very easy should be about 10%, and then kind of the tests that are in the middle that can provide also value.